11b. Describe a toy. Describe a toy that was special to you when you were a child. You should say when you got it, what it looked like, who gave it to you, and how you used it or played with it. I guess I could begin by saying something about when I got it, so I think I would have to choose a Lego car. It was a birthday present from my parents. I can't remember exactly how old I was, but I was probably about 10 or 11. Going on to my next point, which is what it looked like. I really need to add that the special thing about this car was that I had to build it myself out of hundreds of pieces of Lego. The pieces came in a box with a picture of the finished car on the front, and I had to follow step-by-step instructions to put all the pieces together in the correct way. This wasn't an easy task because the car even had an engine, movable seats and gears. It took me a day or two to make, and required a lot of concentration. And in conclusion, if I have time to answer the question of how I played with it, really I should mention that when the car was finished it looked great, and I felt a sense of accomplishment. I seem to remember that I didn't play with the car very much. The fun part had been the process of building it. 9. Describe an interesting lesson that you attended. You should say where you attended this lesson, what it was about, and why you found it interesting. I'm going to talk about an interesting science lesson. Alright then. In response to the first question of where I attended this lesson, so I think I would have to choose secondary school when I was 14 or 15 years old. Going on to my next point, which is what it was about. I really need to add that it was quite a long time ago, so I can't remember every detail, but the lesson was about respiration. We learn about how the lungs work, how we breathe, and how oxygen passes into the blood. The science teacher also talked to us about the effects of smoking on the lungs. And now, with reference to why I found it interesting, the point I want to make here is that because my science teacher, Dr. Smith, always introduced new topics by showing us a video. We watched a short film about how respiration works, and I found this much easier to understand than a science textbook. The film showed diagrams of the lungs to explain the breathing process. Later in the lesson we saw real photos of healthy lungs and lungs that had been damaged as a result of smoking. They had turned black. I think the image of a smoker's lungs is the reason why I remember this lesson. 4. Describe an interesting advertisement that you have seen. You should say where you saw it, what it was about, why you think it was an interesting advertisement. I'm going to talk about an advertisement for Coca-Cola, which is one of the biggest brands in the world. Alright then. In response to the first question of where I saw it, so I think I would have to choose posters and TV commercials. I've seen Coke advertised everywhere. Going on to my next point, which is what it was about, I really need to add that the advert shows a picture of Santa Claus smiling and holding a bottle of Coke. I think the aim is to target children and associate the brand with Christmas time. And now, with reference to why I think it was an interesting advertisement. The point I want to make here is that the company is deliberately trying to influence and attract children. The marketers are trying to capture young customers. They are presenting the drink as something special, a gift for Christmas. However, Coca-Cola is not necessarily a healthy drink for children. It contains a lot of sugar. Maybe this kind of advertising manipulates children and encourages them to pester their parents.